Welcome to Be the Bank, your resource to unlock the secondary mortgage market. My name is Robert Heither, founder of FIXnotes, and you're in the right place to level up your business and move up the real estate food chain. Today's episode, we're talking about lifestyle businesses and how to improve your efficiency with the Pareto principle in mind. Let's jump right into it. All right, we've got episode number 59 for you, and we're gonna start with this month's recap, sharing what we've shared on YouTube this month that you can check out on our channel. Then we're gonna go over next month's agenda, followed by the Pareto lifestyle lessons and how this principle applies to the secondary mortgage market. Then we're gonna be talking about upcoming non-performing loan acquisition opportunities in the Mastermind membership, and then looking back at a case study from our first 101 episodes that you may have not seen, one of our least viewed case studies. Let's jump into it with the month recap. So we got started with our first Wednesday video of the month with the conference success video. And in this video, we talked about all of the ways that you can maximize your ability to create a network when you go to in-person events. I went to the Diversified Mortgage Expo in Nashville in June. We brought on a bunch of new mastermind members and grew our non-disclosure agreement signers list of vetted note buyers. It was an excellent event. And if you check out this video, you can see some tips on how to maximize your own success going to live events. Next, we covered the non-performing senior lien that was modified in our case study number 107. And finally, we had our Q2 2023 NPL sales report, and that was our most recent video last Wednesday. But this next month, we've got some more exciting stuff for you. This is the first Be the Bank episode that I'm sharing with you. Our members only call topics. This is call number 32, and we've been running these calls for quite a while now. Every single month, we hear from two of our members with some advanced strategies that are working for them in their business. So this time around, first Wednesday of the month at 4 p.m., our mastermind members meet via Zoom. We're talking about sourcing and acquiring privately originated debt, essentially creating your own sources of notes by marketing to private seller finance owners. And then we're talking about optimizing reperforming loans using strategic modification agreements to make sure that you don't shoot yourself in your foot when you're doing a modification agreement, to make sure it has maximum resale value if your intention is to flip that loan down the line, or just make sure you hold a cash flowing asset at the best possible yield. All right, so this coming month, we've got our first Wednesday of the month on diversified income streams. We're gonna talk about how you can use real estate rentals and other strategies in addition to your mortgage note portfolio. Then we're talking a non-performing junior lien case study that was paid off as case study number 108, followed by our feature advice on how to be better than the bank. And that's why this opportunity exists for note investors, especially in the non-performing loan space, because we're able to succeed where banks have failed their borrowers. We buy these loans and we're able to help our borrowers get back on track. Then finally, our advanced content for this month, we're gonna poke some holes in the mortgage note investment strategy and share how, while it is a great diversification, it's a difficult business to approach if it is your sole asset in your portfolio. All right, so let's jump into Pareto principle for lifestyle businesses. And this is really where I want to focus on using efficient actions to have the best possible outputs. So let's start talking about some Pareto principles in action in the note space. And the first one here is the minority of your sellers will yield most of your acquisitions. You're gonna get out there and you're gonna find that when you do networking and you meet a lot of different sellers, the ones that actually pan out to successful transactions are going to be in the minority. We're not using the 80-20 as these fixed numbers here. That is the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule, but really it is not a hard and fast number. It is basically saying that the minority of your inputs result in the majority of your outputs. So in this case, finding the sellers that yield the most acquisitions, the most successful acquisitions to build your mortgage note portfolio is where your efforts are going to be best suited. Next is your due diligence. Your initial due diligence, that first 20% of your due diligence efforts yield the 80% of the final population. You're gonna remove most of the prospects, most of the assets from that initial scrub. And as you can see with our non-performing waterfall analysis, This is really the whole focus, is to kick out the loans as soon as possible before we spend a bunch of money in our analysis. Now, this isn't to say with every portfolio that 20% of the portfolio is going to be unsecured, but it is to say that you're going to be spending more money down the line. So focusing in the beginning to make sure you kick out the loans and assess the lien position early on will save you from having to spend, for example, $100 on a broker price opinion for a property value to calculate your equity. That collateral value isn't necessary if it's an unsecured loan because there is no collateral securing your investment, and most investors kick that out. All right, so another one of these Pareto principles in action in the note space is the majority of your non-performing loan resolutions follow the minority of your efforts. And essentially what that means is for each milestone of your collection process, you're going to have a real influx of activity, and that's going to taper off as the effort does diminish. And you can see that with regard to our process. When we first collect our loans, we're going to send a servicing letter, that goodbye letter from the previous loan servicer, and a hello letter as part of the servicing transfer for our loan servicer. That initial letter, sometimes these borrowers haven't seen any notices from their lender or loan servicer in years. And you're going to see a big spike of activity right off the bat when that first letter is sent. Same thing when you finally send your demand letter later down the line. You're going to see a big spike in activity that's going to then taper off because the minority of your efforts in the beginning of the process will result in the majority of the output. Now, next one here. We're talking refinance lump sums. Your non-performing loans will eventually become re-performing as you rehab the borrowers and get them back on track with loan modification agreements. And some of those borrowers will eventually refinance and pay off their loan. But of course, not all of your loans are going to refinance. A small subset of your portfolio will refinance and represent a large influx of capital when those refis take place. All right, so the next one here is the majority of your time is actually going to be wasted due to mental fatigue. And you can see that pretty clearly with this distribution of average productivity time per weekday. So this is a great chart from blog rescuetime.com, and it shows that most internet businesses, most people who do a lot of time on their computer really only get less than 3 hours of productivity time when they're at their desk working on their businesses. And that pretty much tracks with 80% being wasted effort and 20% of your time really being the most highly effective use of your computer time. All right, so let's talk about some real life examples here, which are from my own business. And the first one is my quarterly income breakdown. So you'll see that it's pretty close to that 80-20 rule with my resolutions, the income that I've earned from getting non-performing loan borrowers performing again being about 69% of my income, with 14% from selling non-performing loans and then 16% from the Mortgage Note Mastermind monthly membership. You can see a similar breakdown for my current client portfolio. So my largest client, US Mortgage Resolution, currently holds about 77% non-performing loans in the portfolio. That's 75% NPLs and then 2% of redefaults, whereas we have 11% reperforming loans and 12% seasoning. So it's almost that 80-20 rule to a T with regard to the cash flowing status of the portfolio. All right, so let's talk about this in terms of the Pareto chart. And this is really where you can see in action how this process works. Your beginning efforts are when you really see the most results, and then you slowly see diminishing returns as you increase your input into this activity, whatever the activity is. Now, some ways you can look at this are like these pie graphs that I'm showing you, but really when you're going to track your own efforts, because what is not measured is not improved, you want to make sure that your collection efforts, for example, or your acquisition efforts follow a similar trend line, and that will show you that your efforts are indeed the most efficient efforts to reach your goals. If your chart doesn't look like this, if it looks the inverse, for example, then you could essentially move your activities that are causing the most action later down the input line into earlier activities to increase your total output. All right, so let's jump into the next section of the presentation, and that is assets for sale. So we've got a whole bunch of loans on our aggregated trade desk for Mortgage Note Mastermind members. This is a classified ads where my assistant will put portfolios of assets for sale around the entire industry, where other members will upload assets that they have for sale in their portfolios. And I will list the US mortgage resolution non-performing loans that I was mentioning in that previous slide. And that is where all of the activity on the upcoming sales takes place. Now, we do have our next August offering coming out with 1.5 million of UPB, unpaid principal balance, of non-performing first and second liens in 23 individual assets with no minimum trade sizes, being released to the Mastermind group next month. So definitely join the group. We've got a money back guarantee to join the Mortgage Note Mastermind, so you can see what we have for offer. And then if it doesn't work for you, request a money back guarantee. It's a risk-free offer. You'll also get access to all of these masterclass courses: the 90-day note investor, the masterclass sourcing secrets, the masterclass bulk due diligence as well. And these are all included for free within your Mastermind membership. The latest Mortgage Note Matchmaker Masterclass is how you can start earning income with zero of your own startup capital, essentially connecting buyers and sellers together to start earning transaction fees. And we've got those monthly Zoom recordings that I mentioned as well. Our next one is the first Wednesday of next month. And we've got all of those recordings available to our members in our backend portal, which has a whole bunch of other resources available for you. So there is no reason to hesitate on joining the Mortgage Note Mastermind. We do increase the price by $10 per month for every 3 new members. So lock in your price today to get access to all of this and so much more at FIXnotes.com/mastermind. All right, finally, I gotta go get my crying baby. He just woke up from his nap here, but I wanna share with you this modification case study which resulted in a $15,300 payoff. We had a non-performing second lien secured by a single-family residential property with a value of $156,700. The senior lien was $105,000, which left us with $51,000 of equity, securing our $17,000 UPB. When you see numbers like this, it's a pretty sure thing that that non-performing loan is going to reach a resolution. The borrower has a ton of skin in the game here, and in this case, I believe the borrower was paying their senior lien. Now, we bought the loan for 55 cents on the dollar, just $9,650. And in this case, we always talk about 3 questions with regard to non-performing loan resolution process. What happened? Where are you now? And what do you want to do? The answers to those 3 questions help us craft a resolution for the borrower that makes the most sense. So it was a borrower divorce. He was living in a half-gutted historic schoolhouse. These extraneous circumstances led to a default on their second lien. But now they're working as a teacher. They actually lost $2,000 to a scam contractor, but they were able to reinstate their senior lien. It was a $2,500 lump sum to get back on track. And they finally were able to remove their son and their husband from the health insurance to save $150 per month. This was a woman who was really trying hard to get things back together. She actually had a school bus on that property and was able to sell it to pay off the loan for $15,300. So we did get a modification done at $200 per month that she eventually refied, paid it entirely off, not actually refied, but a lump sum payoff by selling the bus. So that took 11 months and $400 of expenses to go from a $9,650 acquisition to a $15,300 payoff. So the takeaways here: don't wait for promised payoffs. Get a modification agreement right in place as soon as you can, so you and the borrower are on the same page. Encourage creativity by brainstorming solutions with the borrower. Use the loan committee as the bad cop here. The resolution specialist is the good cop. That's whoever's communicating with the borrower, going back and forth between what's capable, what's able to be done, and then show some sympathy, build rapport, and communicate the language that the borrowers understand. Stressed out borrowers respond to urgency and empathy. And speaking of, I'm gonna go get my son. See you in 1 second. It's okay, buddy. All right, I gotta finish the show, bud. Oh, I'm so sorry I neglected you there. All right, guys, Leo's gonna help me finish this out, and that starts with our internal rate of return. We had a 63% return on this one, not including the monthly payments. So essentially all we did there was take $15,300 less the $96.50 non-performing loan cost divided by the time that it took to get the deal done. 11 out of 12 months, so just less than 1 as the denominator of that internal rate of return calculation. So that worked out to a 63% return plus all those $200 monthly payments that we received in the meantime. All right, I really want to comfort this guy, so I do have to get going here, everybody. But if you check out FIXnotes.com, you can see all of the resources that we have available for you. And of course, the Mortgage Note Mastermind, which eventually will cost $990 per month. So definitely don't hesitate on that because it's only $240 per month right now. We have one more seat available before the price goes up for the next member. And that does cut my consulting fees in half as Mortgage Note Masterminds. It's another membership perk. All right, that's it for today's episode. I'm so sorry, buddy. I'm so sorry. Oh, man. All right, everybody. Have a good one, and we'll see you next time.